Hello and welcome to another episode of Don't Fade This podcast. My name is Joshua Reimer, joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Jared Block. Jared, how you doing on this fine Monday afternoon?
Doing well. We are heading into NBA only mode here for the foreseeable future, so that's kind of interesting. I feel less slammed today than I normally would, considering we don't have Monday Night Football tonight. But yeah, doing well. NBA started the or ended 2025 with some really strange stuff, but since the new year has started, things have definitely turned around in a positive direction for the entire team. You and I are doing really well. I know you had a good weekend. I
Yeah,
had both my NFL flag plans smash yesterday, and then the Sunday night game did really well in terms of our top plays. So coming in hot. Friday was also a really strong NBA day, but talk to me about how your NBA weekend went.
NBA weekend was fantastic. I think the only blemish on the weekend was the fact that Colin Gillespie went 1 for 7 from 3 point range last night, so we didn't end up cashing the podcast parlay that we do every day. But outside of that, everything else went great. Cash flag plants and ladders both Saturday and Sunday. I came into the new year and felt like I was just in a little bit of a slump with my flag planted ladder calls. I didn't know what was going on. Took the weekend to kind of recalibrate the research process, a process that you and I trusted near and dear, and felt really good about this weekend, and it showed up, paid off for members. So very happy about that. Very happy about where the research process is at now, and excited to talk some NBA with you today, Jared.
Yeah, we have a nice 8 game slate. Tons of injuries, obviously, to cover as always. And furthermore, we'll talk about this right away. But like, you're not going to hear a lot of Denver talk on the podcast today. But we have to start there and saying like, what is happening to this team right now? They're clearly taking a day off, obviously. But yeah, like 7 guys down with injuries.
Yeah, and yeah, it's with like Portland's like a similar team where they were down 7 guys, but like these are guys that are all like this is almost the whole starting lineup basically. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it is the whole starting lineup. So and more. So obviously they have a lot of guys out. We got to talk about OKC. They have a lot of guys out, and Portland, like you said, also or Portland, like I said, has a lot of guys out. So excited to talk about the slate as a whole. Jared, let's kick it off like we always do and start with the injury report. What do you got for us?
Yeah, just to clarify on what that actually looks like, the Denver Nuggets not only are missing Joker and Cam Johnson, they're also missing Jamal Murray today. On top of that, I know that we're starting to get to a point where, again, this shouldn't be like a super long term thing, but Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon are out today, though they both played yesterday. So that should be on the up and up there. But we also know that Tim Hardaway Jr. is not playing for this team, too. So that's going to note at least 7 guys are out tonight for the Denver Nuggets. Again, probably not talking about them too much because they're not going to come up with the trends side of things, and Philly is a relatively middling matchup at best. So it's probably the last time we'll talk about Denver today. Like you said, OKC's got some guys out. We do have Hartenstein and Jalen Williams continue to be out for this team. On the other side of that game, Charlotte's got Kalkbrenner and Plumlee out again. Musa Diabate, a probable tag with that wrist injury that he had last week. What else? Like Portland's got the regular rotation of guys out. Şengün's a big injury that happened over the weekend. He's out with an ankle injury. Jalen Dern remains out for Detroit. I think the only other like massive one here is that we do have a questionable tag on James Harden, who has a shoulder issue. So that was one that came a little bit after the initial report, which is never a good sign. So Harden may be sitting in this game.
Yeah, we should really pay attention to also the fact that Steven Adams is questionable. Just because, like you mentioned, Şengün is out. If Adams ends up sitting, we're probably going to get some old school 2010s Clint Capella back in the starting lineup for Houston, which is kind of fun to see. So
Yep.
he had a big jump in minutes this past game against Dallas, where he played 27 of them after Şengün went out. So I think even if Steven Adams does end up playing, you're going to see a lot of Clint Capella. And yeah, that's about it. Not much else to talk about outside of the normal injuries. Hart is out, Giddy's out. Trey Young is still out. Jakob Pertl's still out. Here and there, all the way around. But that's about it. All right. If you're ready, I'm ready. We can start talking about some top implied team totals.
Yeah, let's do it.
Top team coming into the day is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have an implied total of 126. They are 15.5 point favorites here. Over under is set at 235. Like you said, they're dealing with a few injuries here, but this is more so just about that they're big favorites. It's a decently high total, so they're almost automatically going to get that high implied total as well. What do you think about the Thunder here?
Yeah, I like this spot. While it is a pace down spot, it's a really good defensive matchup for them. We also know that they are allowing a decent amount, and I should say decent by sixth most in the NBA in the restricted area. And you have some guys that can take advantage of that. SGA is a guy that can do that. Chet's a guy that can do that, and both of them, to their respective degrees, have done well without Hartenstein this year. So you like all that stuff. From there, it's a little bit dicey on what you really, really want to do. It's not really a 3-point shooting spot necessarily, and I think it's more of like an attack the basket type of situation. That's just where you're going to find SGA and Chet profiling the best here. And none of these guys outside of those two are really popping in terms of trends or recent jumps in anything.
Yeah, for sure. Nothing really else to comment on there. You have anything else? If not, we'll move on to the next team.
I think I'm good. I was gonna try to find a case to bring up Jalen Williams, but it just doesn't feel like he's really being brought up in any of these conversations anytime we talk about OKC.
Yeah, really tough to kind of see. I mean, like, it's not like he's been bad by any means. He just has not been a consistent offensive contributor. And so it's kind of hard to bring him up in a prop sense when it comes to that. All right, second highest implied team total belongs to the Boston Celtics as they head in to face off against the Chicago Bulls here. They have a 124.25 implied total. The spread is at 10.5. The over-under set at 236.5. Feels like a good time to talk about just how much of a menace Jaylen Brown is to everyone.
Yep.
We saw him put up that absolutely ridiculous performance where he put up 50 points against the Clippers. Now he has a very easy matchup. Feels like he can continue this hot stretch here. What do you think about Jaylen Brown in this one? And the rest of the Celtics, obviously, too.
Yeah, while OKC has got the top implied total, I feel you have more room to run with this one. I do like the pace up situation. This is one of the biggest jumps in pace we're going to see Boston have over the course of the regular season. So that's also another really good, strong, foundation to build this off of. Over the last month, that the Bulls are allowing a ton of above the break threes. They're allowing a lot of corner threes as well. And they're also just like they have been the entire year, they're just getting smashed in the restricted area. And so I think that Jaylen Brown really hasn't been known for being like even like a top 3 above the break scorer on this team, just because they do have a lot of shooters that can do that. But he does profile extremely well, just in general in this kind of game environment. I would also consider him, like, if you're looking at ways to attack Chicago from a DVP perspective, like, they are just getting absolutely manhandled by power forwards, and you don't have Tatum. You also don't really consider Sam Hauser or like Jordan Walsh as power forwards. So I guess he's kind of, I'm stretching this a little bit, but I think we can allow Jaylen Brown to be like the best wing / power forward that they have on this team. So I think that he kind of makes sense when it comes to that type of argument. But I think behind Jaylen Brown, you have the top above the break scorers here, and that's going to be Derek White, who ranks 4th right now. He's averaging around 3.6 field goal makes a game, averaging 10 shots from that zone a game. And then Anthony Simons actually ranks 2nd. Those are the two guys that rank in the top 50 from this team. So sometimes we do get a Pritchard or a Hauser that jumps in and out of the mix, depending on the time frame that you're looking at. But over the last month, it is Derek White, who is just one of the best 3-point shooters in the league from that zone. So I think that if you're looking at like top player props, I think I'd have to go Derek White number 1. And then it's hard for me to say Jaylen Brown is anything less than 2 in terms of a point scoring thing.
Yeah, I guess I just have. I guess I'm just a little bit more cautious around this against this team overall. Like, I think that Chicago has picked it up defensively. They have been a lot better at stopping above the break threes. Now, I don't know if that's the last 5-game sample size type thing where it's just too small of a sample size to really tell, or if it's a really like true improvement, but we've seen them allow the 11th least above the break threes over the last 5 games. We've also just seen them guard like small forwards, power or small forwards, shooting guards, and point guards really well this season. So where they do struggle is the power forward and center position. It just doesn't feel like Boston has the tools to take advantage of that at the end of the day. So I don't know. I'm fine with Jaylen Brown. I think he's red hot right now. I don't know if I'd call him like one of my favorite plays of the day at the end of it all.
Well, it's just the fact that his scoring lines are probably in the 30 range. And so, like, how many times you're going to. I think that you can probably be okay with it today. It's probably more of an alt play than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Anything else here? If not, move on to the next team here.
Let's move on.
Let's move on and talk about the Portland Trailblazers here. They have a 123.75 implied total. 6.5 point favorites. Over-unders at 241.5. They're facing off against the Utah Jazz here. They get a slight pace up spot. They get a good defensive matchup spot. So what do you think overall for Portland here?
Yeah, I like the pace of play in this game. The game total itself is a healthy 242, so you like that from that angle. You like the implied team total. You like the pace of play. You like the matchup in general. I do think that you got to keep an eye on the Robert Williams stuff. Did he get ruled out, or was he a questionable?
I think he's probable now.
Okay. I do like
Yeah.
the centers against Utah, so both Klingon and Robert Williams can do extremely well here. Kind of wish that one of them sat, but it is what it is. I still think that both are viable in this spot. But you also really like guys that can score in the paint. Utah's allowing the most paint points per game in the NBA, and I do think that they have quite a few guys that can get there. Obviously, guys like Avdia really stand out. I know that Caleb Love made the big board for you a couple of days ago. He's definitely transitioned into a guy that they're playing a lot more minutes. He went sky high over the past like 10 games or so. So yeah, give me your thoughts on some of this stuff. Yeah, you want to attack the Jazz from above the break, and you want to attack them in the paint.
Yeah, I guess the tough thing is that like they don't have a lot of above the break three shooters, kind of like you mentioned. There are a few guys here and there, Caleb being one of them, but outside of that, a lot of these guys are averaging just two over the whole season,
Right.
two per game at the very least. So I don't know. I think those guys are in fine spots. I think it's a pretty good spot for Denny. Can always get behind Denny here. I think Shaden Sharp finds himself in a pretty good spot as well. I don't know how much else I'm getting behind everyone else in this one. I worry about Donovan Clingan's minutes always whenever he has to play with Robert Williams too. And so I guess we'll see how that ends up faring. But yeah, I guess I do like the spot overall. I don't think you have like a better matchup spot necessarily anywhere else in a game that can stay close. Like I don't think that Celtics game or Thunder game can. There's still some, I guess, cautious optimism, I guess, is what I'll call it at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's really what it is. So I think that I'll bring up some points to where maybe I think that there's at least a glimmer of hope that Charlotte can maybe stay within 20. But we'll talk about that when we get to hottest shooters. The top above the break three scorer over the past 30 days for the Portland Trailblazers is Tumani Kamara, which is not a name I would have thought would have made that list, but he is averaging 2.4 makes on 5.8 attempts. So, like you said, though, there's like four guys here that are taking about 4 to 5 threes a game. They're making about half of them, and that's just it's kind of hard to like really justify that being a top play.
Yeah, over the last 7 games, a sample size we pay pretty close attention to, at least for DVP, Caleb Love has 3.6 above the break threes per game, which is pretty insane. So, and he's shooting really well. The percentage is there. Tumani Kamara is right behind him with 2.6 as well. So, it might be a spot to go back to the well with Caleb Love.
You say
I could
3.6?
Yeah, 3.6 per game.
That would technically be on Derek White level, which is like top 4 or 5 in the league.
Yeah. Here, let's see where it is on the league. Yeah, he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's sixth, only behind Tyrese, Kawhi, Jalen Brunson, LaMelo Ball, and Steph Curry. So, pretty good company to be a part of, especially coming off the bench too. He's been closing with the team. That's why I've been really paying attention to who's closing, and he's ending up playing those closing minutes, which is really important. So, yeah, this might be a spot for some more Caleb Love here. Even though I hate him, I hate that I've like fallen in love with his gameplay
Yeah, I mean,
because he
you're
is a
just making the
UNC
push
guy.
for yourself.
I know he is a UNC guy, but like his game is really fun to watch, and I think he adds a level for this Portland team that they just don't have, where it's a really good 3-point scoring guard that can also create opportunities elsewhere too. So yeah, really like the Caleb Love spot. All right, do you want to cover one more team? If not, we can head over to hottest shooters.
Do I want to?
I will tell you the next team up is the 76ers. So
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
that
and
for what it's worth.
I kind of liked that spot, but not. It'll probably come up at some point in the show. But yeah, last point I wanted to make on the Portland stuff is like it's probably a reason that they let go of Simons and drafted Caleb. So
Yeah, for sure. All right, if you're ready, I'm ready. We can head over to hottest shooter.
let's move on.
All right, do you have someone you want to go to first?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and attempt to make a case that Charlotte can keep it close. I don't know about covering the spread, but the only way that they're going to actually do anything here is if they rely on their top above the break three scorers, because that's really the only thing that OKC is allowing, just because they are getting up by so much that now they're just forcing teams to shoot a bunch of above the break threes. So, with that said, the Charlotte Hornets have three guys in the top 20 from that zone over the last month. LaMelo Ball, like you had mentioned previously, he ranks in the top 3 right now in terms of that zone, and he's has recorded 30 plus PRA in 6 of the last 7 games. It feels like you can trust him a little bit more now after he's kind of ramped back up from his injury. And then I also want to bring up that just a guy that we have talked about on the show basically at least once a week, if not twice a week. Concanipple has scored 17 plus points in 9 of his last 10 games. He's had 3 threes in the last 9 of 10 as well, sometimes getting up into the 5-6 range. And they do have good spots tonight. So I think that the both of them need to be considered. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say that Charlotte's going to cover a 16-point spread against the best defense in the NBA. But if they're going to do that, they're going to have to do it from being just nails from 3-point range.
Yeah, can certainly get behind that one. Yeah, I'll bring up this spot. I guess I'll just go back to the well here. Caleb Love deserves to be on this hottest shooters list. He has been rocking and rolling recently, especially from 3-point range. He has had 3+ 3-pointers in 5 out of the last 6 games, and he's had 6 3-pointers in 2 of those games as well. Like, we're starting, like I said, we're starting to see a true jump in minutes. Over the past 5 games, he's averaging 25 minutes per game. And we're starting to see him close with the starters, too. So I think it's only a matter of time before you start seeing that they move Denny back to that small forward role and actually bring Caleb Love into the point guard position. And it's a good spot for him. So, yeah, I like the Caleb Love spot when it comes to hottest shooters.
Obviously, we have to talk about Jaylen Brown again in this segment. He made 18 field goals in that last game. He has attempted 23 or more field goals in 5 of his last 8, and 20 plus on a bunch of those as well. Fun fact: do you know how many fantasy points that he had in that 50-point game?
I don't even want to know, but how many?
He scored 50, but he only finished with 59 fantasy points.
Oh, jeez.
No
That's
peripheral stats and some turnovers. Yeah. So that's what happens sometimes. He also had his biggest, most efficient 3-point game of the season. Finished with 6. He had only had 5 twice. So
wow,
that's something to monitor moving forward. Though I do think it was more of like and Boston does this, even if it's not Brown. They, if they find a guy that's hitting a bunch of his shots early, they're just going to force feed it. And that's just like the best case scenario. For Jaylen Brown, 30-plus points in what? I wrote this down, and I'm going to butcher it.
I think it's 30-plus points in like 9 out of the last 11, if I saw it correctly.
12, yeah. 10
to 12. There you go. I was close. Yeah, definitely insane. I'll bring up Tyrese Maxey here. I completely doubted him in that Knicks game, just saying that, like, oh, Knicks have done a good job of defending the point guard position. I think Philly ends up going elsewhere. We did see that at least at the beginning of the game. We saw VJ Edgecombe get really involved in the first half. We saw I think Paul George started doing really well, but Tyrese kind of took over the game as his own and put up 36. That's his third straight game with 34 plus points, and that's his fourth straight game with 28 plus points. We've really seen Maxey start getting cooking here, and I like the upside for him. As long as they don't win by 30 and he doesn't end up sitting the second half, I could see Maxey being a big benefactor of this trash Nuggets game that the Nuggets, or trash Nuggets lineup that the Nuggets are rolling out.
Yeah, this is where like I don't know how much DVP actually matters because they
Doesn't.
Denver has allowed the fewest points to point guards over
Yeah.
their last 7-4 on the year. What do you do with that today? I don't think you do anything. I think you just attack the regular spots there. But yeah, I think that anytime we've doubted Tyrese this year, he has slammed that in our face. So I stopped doing it.
Yeah, definitely don't blame you there. All right, what else you got?
Let's see. We kind of hit the big ones. Another guy that I stopped saying fade him or like play the unders. Steph Curry, 4+ threes in 6 of the last 7 games. It is a tough spot overall. The Clippers were one of the worst teams from above the break to start the year, and they have corrected that. So I guess we'll see how it goes, but it might be a nice time to get some value on a Steph Curry market that because it's not going to line up well on paper, so the books will probably have it a tick down or so. And then the only other one that I wanted to mention is like Kawhi came back down to earth, but still has had 42 plus PRA in 6 of his last 7 games. James Harden questionable. Like, you know, if that happens, that's certainly going to raise things up for Kawhi. Though I will say, like, even though Zubac came off the bench, like, it did affect everything for the Clippers in that last game.
For sure. Will mention to end this off that I do like what Amin Thompson has been doing recently. We're seeing the scoring start to look a little bit more normal, which has always been like his question mark. But the rebounding looks especially good. His points plus rebounds, he's hit his line that he has today in 8 out of the last 10 games, Jared.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of impressive stuff from Amin Thompson. I flag planted him on Saturday, and he came through by quite a bit against Dallas. So really like the spot again today.
Yep. I will also mention, because I don't know if we will, Jabari Smith, a perfect 4 for 4 points plus assists in games without Şengün this year.
For sure. All right. Anything else? If not, let's head over to round table.
Let's do it.
For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I go over some of our top plays at each position or each statistical category. That's points, rebounds, and assist. Jared, I'll let you kick it off at points. Where do you want to go?
All right. Where I would like to go, I think I'll go with Chet as the first guy that I want to bring up. I do think that this is a great spot for him from a scoring angle. It is not a good rebound spot, especially if Diabate plays. It is a good point scoring spot, though, and the Charlotte Hornets have allowed the 5th most points to centers over the last 7 games. We talked about this in the breakdown about how he is is going to be a solid restricted area scorer, and I think that he and Shea can get the job done here. And here's to hoping that Charlotte forces OKC to play like 30 minutes for their starters.
Yeah, for sure. I can get behind that. I'm going to go over to this Utah Jazz team that we have not talked a lot about. We talked a lot about Portland. We haven't talked about Utah yet. And talk about Lauri Markkanen here, man. We've seen some really good consistency from a scoring angle. He was able to score 35 in his last game against Golden State, which was really impressive. And now he's had 27 plus points in 7 out of the last 10. If there's any spot where this Portland defense ends up struggling, it's against the power forward position where they're a bottom 10 team over the whole season and a bottom 10 team over the last 7 games. I think if there's anyone you're going to go to, it's going to be Lauri. This feels like a game where you probably stay away from Keontae just because it's not a great above the break 3 look. But Lauri's the guy that can score more with his drives and more in the paint, and I think he's the one that keeps this one close. So, yeah, I really like the Lauri spot. All right, Jade, where are you going for rebounds?
I do want to just give a caveat to one more points play and get your thoughts on this because I think you were grabbing your cat when I was talking about this. Jaylen Brown, can we bend the rule of the DVP here a little bit and say that he is eligible for a power forward conversation?
Dude, I really don't think I know I was grabbing the cat when this comment came up, but I do genuinely believe like this is a spot where Boston might not have what it takes to match up well here. Listen to how well they've restricted scoring. They've held Con Knipple to 18. They held Desmond Bain to 14. They held Paul George to 15. They haven't faced a lot of good small forwards recently. But my point still stands. Like I just don't know if they've really done all that. I think they have like really solid defense against the small forward. I think really where they struggle is the front court with power forwards and centers. And like I said, I don't know if Boston has the capabilities to front someone to, you know, score from those two positions. So I don't know. And like I think part of this is just like they have fixed at least a little bit their above the break defense. Like over the last 5 games, we have seen this team improve. They're a top 11 team when it comes to above the break scoring. That the Chicago Bulls defense is, and I think that's something you have to worry about with a Boston team that's shooting the ball so much.
Fair enough. I'm just peek behind the curtain. I have flag planted Paulo Banchero and Zion Williamson, your power forward spot, uh, religiously over the last like week and a half, and I wanted to see if we could bend the rule a little bit, but it does not appear to be the case. And
I don't think so. I mean,
I'm not
you
going to
definitely
flag
can.
plant Sam Hauser or
Yeah.
Josh Minott. So
No, I mean you definitely can't. Like I think at the end of the day, someone has to score for Boston. So like, does it end up being Jaylen Brown? Probably. I think in my case, like I'd be scared to flag plant him, knowing that like they have picked
yeah,
up their defense a little bit. And I don't know. I think there are some like worrisome statistics that you can draw up here that make it not as good of a spot for Brown as you would think.
fair enough. Fair enough. That is why DVP is not always everything.
Yep, for sure. All right. Rebounds. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I think what I would like to do is let's see here. I'm gonna look at something really quick. I want whoever is getting the starting center minutes for
Oh
Detroit.
no.
We know that
Oh,
Jalen
okay.
Dern is out, and even with Mitchell Robinson playing, I know that the Towns Robinson's injury stuff has been all over the board. I do think that we could look into what Paul Reed or Isaiah Stewart could bring to the table from this angle. I think it's more of a Paul Reed thing. Stewart just not really being consistent from the rebound angle. We know that Paul Reed did get the starting job back on January 4th, which was obviously yesterday. Played 30 minutes, finished with 8 and 4, 8 rebounds specifically. So while I don't know if he necessarily smashes against the Knicks in every category, I think the rebound spot is good, and they'll need his size to be able to compete in this game tonight.
Yeah, I can certainly get behind that. I am going over to this Toronto team, and I think I'm going to endorse Colin Murray Boyles here because I really like the shift that we have seen from him, where we have seen him ever since December 23rd when they played against Miami. We have seen a clear shift in priority towards him, where he's now playing 25 minutes in every game. He's had 12 plus rebound chances in every game. I know he played against Atlanta just a couple days ago, and he fell short with only 3 rebounds, but he still had 12 rebound chances in that game. That's just pure unlucky. You're usually expected to get half the rebounds of the rebound chances you got. So if you got 12 rebound chances, you should get 6 rebounds, most likely. That wasn't the case for him. He came up unlucky. I'm willing to go back to the well. Atlanta's been bad against the center position. That's where Boyles is essentially playing now, is that center position over Sandro. And yeah, I like the Boyles spot. So give me Murray Boyles here.
Yep, 100%.
All right, assists. Where do you want to go?
We just call it a day and say Denny Avdia is the best assist play on the board.
We can definitely do that if you'd like to.
Yeah, I think that that's the best, one of the best plays. You get the pace spot, which is really nice. You have a lot of above the break scoring that can take place. Now I know that that's a bit unreliable as we've touched on with Portland, but I do think Denny is at the forefront of all of that in that game. So that's probably one of the best assist spots on the board. I'm sure there's a few others as well.
Yeah, I'll talk about a bad assist spot here, Jared. I think that Shea qualifies as a bad assist spot. I think this assist stuff is really streaky at the best of it. He's gone under this 6.5 number in 5 out of the last 6 games, Jared. Charlotte does a decently good job of preventing point guards from getting assists too. It ranks 17th when it comes to DVP. So yeah, I'm taking this under spot for Shea. I don't think Shea gets there when it comes to the assist category today.
Okay. I know you just did this, and we can talk about. I didn't necessarily pan out great.
Uh-oh.
This game's happening again. Scotty Barnes, how you feeling about him against
Ooh.
Atlanta again?
I feel fine.
How did it go? Like we're going right back to it and doing the baseball thing where we're not caring about what happened last time.
Yeah, I'm certainly not caring. And it was a pretty good outcome for him. I know he didn't get to the PRA line that he was set at, but I'm pretty sure it ended in a blow. He didn't play closing minutes, if I remember correctly. I could be remembering this game wrong completely, but I feel like he didn't play closing minutes there. I'm fine with it. He had a really good first half. I think over the second half is where things fell off a little bit for him. So I'm completely fine with going back to the well on Scotty. I think it's too good of a matchup spot to pass up.
Yeah, they're won by 17. So
yeah.
Um,
Rebounds. Atlanta's allowing the second most rebounds to the power forward position over the last 7 games, and the 4th most assists to the power forward position over the last 7 games.
The rebound assist market's great. It's very good.
Yeah. And that's where I'd probably target here again. I think I targeted PRA on that day, but I would go RA or PRA, honestly. I feel fine overall with the spot. I don't really feel like they can hold him at the end of the day, but I think they got a little bit lucky in that one.
Another final assist spot, and then we can move on. I do think this is something you got to watch for Trey Jones. I would stay away from the majority of Chicago props today just because Kobe White is expected to play, and that kind of throws a wrench into a lot of things. But Giddey is still out, and I do think that the Trey Jones stuff does still make sense. Boston allowing the 4th most assists to the point guard position over the last 7 games, and that's kind of just a direct correlation of how many above the break threes they give up as well.
For sure. All right, anything else here? If not, we'll head over to 2 minds are better than 1.
I think we are good.
Let's do it. For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I go back and forth selecting a player prop, 2 player props each. Our goal for the entirety of the parlay is to get the odds to around plus 100 to plus 150. We came up short yesterday off of Colin Gillespie uncharacteristically missing 6 3-pointers. He just needed to make 2 of them, and he went 1 for 7. Very disappointing, especially against that OKC team, too. You were just talking about how everyone shoots threes against OKC. They do really well with it. Colin Gillespie was not one of them yesterday. So, but we did cash on Saturday. Pretty sure we cashed on Friday, too. So we've been on a little bit of a hot streak here with the 2 minds are better than 1 parlay. Jared, I will let you go first. And what do you want to pick?
Yeah, today... different than most days. I think today is a 3-point scoring day, and that could go really, really poorly, or it could go very well. And I'm just hoping it goes pretty well, or as well enough as it could get. And I will take Con Knipple for 3 threes, which is probably
nice.
pretty good money. So
yes, Con Knipple for 3 plus threes.
Yep, we're going with 3.
All right, it's minus 161.
That's fine.
All right, we'll do it. Minus 160.
Elsewhere.
We will go very soft elsewhere. We'll start off with the Tyrese Maxey market. I feel pretty confident in him right now and just like the flow that he's been on. So we'll go Maxey for 20 plus points.
Right. I'm looking at this because we haven't actually brought up Jalen Johnson on the show yet.
We have not.
And I know that the RA market has been one of the most like popular, consistent markets imaginable. I would go there, but I know that DK Sportsbook does not have that. So what we'll do is we'll go with rebounds for Jalen Johnson. The Toronto Raptors have allowed the 5th most rebounds to power forwards over the last 7 games, and he has recorded double-digit rebounds in the last 9 of 10 games without Trae Young.
Nice. Could certainly get behind that. I think I'll go to the PRA market and hold on a second. Just looking at something. Actually, yeah, let's go with this. I'm going to go not to the PRA market and just go to the points market. We're going to keep backing Kawhi. I know he had a bit, like you said, he had a bad game last time out against Boston. That was some really tough defense that JB was playing. I don't know if you saw the post-game presser, but Mazzulla was talking about how Jaylen Brown specifically said on the plane that he wanted to guard Kawhi Leonard, and he did that. He did it really well, too. He showed up. I don't think Golden State has that same level of defender like Jaylen Brown that can stop a guy like like Kawhi. And hopefully, well, not hopefully, hope James Harden is all right, but hopefully he ends up taking a little bit of the back seat. Last time he had a questionable tag, and I tried to rely upon him even with that questionable tag, he came up incredibly short. He ended up having a really bad game. So here's hoping that he takes it slow, recovering from the injury, gives the ball a lot to Kawhi, and we'll take Kawhi for 20 plus here. So altogether, we have Colin Knippel for 3+ 3-pointers made, Tyrese Maxey for 20 plus points, Jalen Johnson for 7 plus rebounds, and Kawhi Leonard for 20 plus points as well. Altogether gets you at plus 140, Jared. All right, let's get out of here. Give your final thoughts.
My final thoughts. I think that we're fading the Nuggets today. I know that doesn't help anybody playing DFS, but you're basically playing like.
Aren't you happy not to live that life anymore,
dude? Yeah, because I don't even know who they're starting tonight. Like you can make a case. I tried to guess. Our model tried to put it together, but you never really know. And
who'd the model say? Let's go see.
Yeah, so it came out it came out and then Tim Hardaway got ruled out, which was not a part of the equation I was expecting. So I think we're going to see what Pickett, Bruce Brown might slide in the 2, Spencer Jones, Peyton Watson, and Deron Holmes. So yeah, not
gross.
Good.
Bruce Brown. For those who are playing DFS, I think Bruce Brown is your top producer there. I think he will end up getting the usage most likely.
Would agree. So that I'm free to stay away from. Good luck. Yeah. Good luck. And then keep an eye on the James Harden news. You're not going to get that for a very long time probably, unless he's really just out. And then keep an eye on Steven Adams. I think that's a really developing situation where makes Clint Capella look really intriguing. It also is it's the Phoenix-Houston rivalry / revenge narrative for a lot of guys here. So Dylan Brooks is in that, as well as Kevin Durant, who we didn't talk about, but I do like him without Şengün too. So those guys, that's interesting there. The one game that we did not talk about a lot, if at all, is the New York-Detroit game. And rarely, for those of you who follow along and look at the content, rarely in the NBA do we have, like in baseball, we can say no spotlight players or no home run calls a lot. And we're pretty good at identifying that. Rarely do we have none listed for spotlight players on any NBA game. And I truly could not find a reason to play anybody for the New York-Detroit game. So we talked about Paul Reed's rebounds. That's like the best thing that could happen in that game. Otherwise, I'd stay away from it.
Yeah, can certainly get behind that. Last thing that I will mention that I forgot to bring up during the show is that on that Houston and Phoenix game, a game that is really intriguing and should be kind of like a playoff environment, we saw Devin Booker really step up last night against OKC with that big 3-pointer. We've seen him get a little bit more consistent with scoring. We've seen 3 30-plus point games in 3 out of the last 6. Houston, if there's anywhere they do struggle, they're allowing the 6th most points to the shooting guard position over the last 7 games. I think Devin Booker could have a game here, potentially. I wouldn't really feel comfortable with betting on too much in this one. Outside of I wouldn't feel confident betting on Phoenix. Let me clarify that. I like Houston props today, several of them at the very least. But Booker's the one guy that I could potentially get behind on Phoenix.
I can help back that up, actually, as he is on the rundown in a very, very good way. If you're going to... Not only is that a good DVP spot, but Houston's only weak zone right now, recently, over this last 30-day stretch, is the paint, where they've allowed the 3rd most points per game. Devin Booker's the top 15 guy there. So
very nice.
Math checks out.
For sure. All right, let's get out of here. Any other final thoughts, Jaron?
Like I mentioned at the top of the show, NBA is basically getting into our full-time situation here for the next couple of months until baseball resumes. It's going to be a lot of NBA from us. You're going to see us on the show more. We'll still do podcasting at least once. We have not decided about divisional round for NFL, but you'll still see it once a week, at least this week. But yeah, a lot of NBA podcasting moving forward.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get out of here. Thank y'all for listening. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer, and we will see y'all tomorrow.